Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom O'Gorman. Tom, how are your arms feeling?
I'm sad. My arms are tired
Because you flew?
because I flew, but I'm sad. I don't want to be where I am. I want to be where I was.
You don't want to be in your apartment in Columbus?
No, I want to be in the Alps in
Oh,
Italy.
yeah,
What a problem to have. Oh,
Christine's
everyone,
struggling coming
give me a
back.
good,
Go ahead, sorry.
good cry. Give me a good cry. Everybody, one, two, three.
Oh,
Oh,
poor Tom. Christine's
no, I'm okay.
struggling coming back to reality as well, because our vacation and we're like a week and a half back already. So I feel like I don't know. At this point, I feel like the vacation didn't even happen. But Christine's she's holding on. She's holding on to the vacation. So
So it's fair to say she's still in the racing hangover period where she thinks like this is what I do every day, and you're like, yep, done this before. Back
yeah,
to work.
yeah. I think my switch was a little faster.
Your Switch is less rusty.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine if you did an event like One Lap and you never took any time off or vacations or anything like that?
I kinda did that for, like, 7 years. So, yes, a little bit. Like, not that extreme, but, that was my lifestyle, popping between gigs and whatever else between I started in May of 2014, and I didn't stop until COVID 2020.
Yeah, but that was your job. Was just
Oh, what are you saying? You're talking about vacation,
like
like,
when
away from
you're
your job.
yeah, well, yeah, when you're like away from like the daily routine and then you get to just experience this like freedom of like whatever you want to do and then you come back and you're like, "Oh, that's right. I have to like do stuff I don't want to do for money."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's a little
Uh,
bit of a shock.
how was so you guys were still no, you had just gotten back last time we talked? We did our quick little catch up when I was still
Yeah.
traveling and you were not,
And
right?
then I was asking for some European stories and you're like, "Oh, I don't even know."
Okay, so I took a bunch of notes actually. If you want me to if you do you want me to rattle off all my thoughts about Europe while I like have it fresh
Yeah, let's hear it. I want to
off
hear
the top of the noggin?
Okay, I want to hear I want like a Venn diagram of like things that are different, things that are the same. Like I guess
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
really a Venn diagram, but
No, I got you. I tried to think about it this way, and I try to think about it not in the way of like my own prejudice against or towards the way that I think about the United States versus like being on vacation through rose-colored glasses. But I did come up with a bunch of stuff that at least applies to my life and the way my brain works. So the first, you're not going to believe this. The first one I noticed as we drove around was the way the highway rules and the driving rules work.
okay, yeah.
So in Europe, we were specifically in Germany, Austria, Italy, and in general, in all of the places, if someone comes up behind you and they're trying to go faster than you and you're on the highway, you move the hell over. Like as fast as possible, quickly as possible. It's urgent. Get out of the way. And I'm like, it was so nice to watch that happen consistently across the board. If someone's coming up behind you, and they don't have to come up and tailgate you either. It's just like they catch you and then they come up to a reasonable distance and they're right behind you. You know, the amount of car lengths back that you would be comfortable with somebody, but they don't just, not everybody just sits there. The person at the front realizes someone's coming up and they move over and they get out of the way.
Were there dueling
Uh,
semis?
No, the other part is, and this is like the big one, the semis and the trucks are
Careful.
not
There's a
allowed
lot
to
of truck
be out
drivers.
of the right lane.
Hold on, there's a lot of truck drivers that listen to the show, Tom. So I just want you to tread on thin ice here cuz
They're not in Europe.
you've already
The
angered them.
no, no, but they're okay, the semis and the trucks are not allowed, sorry, hang on. The lorries are not allowed to come out of the right lane.
Oh.
They're only in the right lane.
What if there's a really slow lorry and there's a faster lorry that wants to get around the slow lorry? It just has to
They're all in the right lane.
it just
They're
has
all they're all just over there and they all run in a line and they just stay over there. So there's none of this like so there's twofold. There's none of this like left lane person going 2 miles an hour faster to like slowly creep because I'm going my speed and you can wait for me to get out of the way. There's none of that. It's like, oh, I'm going to hurry up and get out of the way and move over and I'm going to cram myself in the right lane so that people in the left can go through. and there's no trucks that pop out and try to pass other trucks. So there's basically no traffic jams on the highway. It's gorgeous. It's
Well,
beautiful. It's
okay,
the
hold
most
on.
beautiful thing I saw in all of the Alps.
That does sound beautiful, but were you near any cities where there would be
Yeah,
traffic?
and it worked the same way in Munich. It worked the same way in we passed through Modena, uh, which like the Ferrari Modena. We went through. Oh, I forget the other name.
But cities,
One other. Yeah, yeah.
what
I mean,
what size
everywhere.
were these cities in comparison to like a US city? Like how big is Munich?
Let me look it up. I'm gonna go
We
Google
don't
real
have to
quick.
Google it. Just what was the vibe of Munich? Was it like a
I mean, it's
Cleveland?
smaller. The population of the greater Munich area is 1.6 million. So it's the size of like a Cincinnati, Columbus, St. Louis, maybe. Uh,
Okay.
Slightly larger than those, but it's definitely no New York City or LA,
Or
you know?
Chicago? Because Chicago has like the worst traffic.
It does. But I'm telling you, it's the etiquette. It's the way the drivers think. I'm punching my hand. I'm getting passionate. Okay, so that was my big takeaway was
Okay.
like the way the drivers think about driving makes so much more sense, and this is the way that I want driving to work, but it just doesn't work that way
Is
here.
it because I think over in Europe, it's much harder to get a driver's license. Also, way less people drive in Europe, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I did notice when I got back to the States here today, I was trying to look around and like observe the differences, and there's not necessarily the roads feel pretty similar actually, but there's definitely fewer people on them in the there's more people on them in the States. There's fewer people on them in Europe,
Yeah.
even in the cities that I went through. The other thing that I noticed is another thing that I noticed is all the gas stations instead of being crammed full of like junk food and like massive aisles and like big, big gas stations, they all have like a coffee shop and real food in them, and they have like a small selection of food that's like bagged snacks, but like one rack, and then they have like one thing of drinks that you can buy from. Otherwise, you like buy the coffee from the coffee place and you buy real food from the real place.
Oh, interesting. Like when you say real food, what do you mean real food? Are we talking like,
Picture like a Panera or a Starbucks, let's probably
oh,
say. But
okay.
it's like instead of being like a packaged thing, it seems like like a real like they probably got the bread pretty local and they probably got the meat pretty local and they probably got the cheese pretty local, and that's what you get your little like sandwich that way.
Ryan
And
Christoph
it's
and the
just on the side of the road. Like, you just pull off on the side of the road, and that's where you get your gas, and that's the kind of meal you have. I was like, "Why don't we do this? This is so much better. I don't feel like a shit like, piece of shit when I eat all this food at this side of the road."
I'm not living off of Slim Jims and blocks of cheese.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, I kinda am, but, like, real Slim Jims and real blocks of cheese instead of whatever we get. I don't know.
I don't know. Colby, what is it? Colby Jack? Colby Jack has gotten me through a lot of road trips, Tom.
Yeah. I'm actually a big fan of have you ever seen the fatties? You know, like, the kinda, like, thick cut,
Oh,
like, pork sticks or beef sticks or whatever?
you're talking like the Chungus Slim Jims. I
Yes.
think they
Yeah,
call
yeah,
them
yeah.
monsters.
But the chicken ones, that's what I
The
get in the
chicken ones.
States.
Oh, I always get
Over there, you would actually just stop and get, like, a real sandwich.
hmm, I always get the Tabasco Slim Jims. That's like my go-to.
Ooh, that sounds spicy.
Oh, it is.
Can't handle that.
But it just makes me drink a bunch of water, which is fine because normally when I'm eating that, I'm like
Okay.
coming back from a racetrack.
You know what that makes me think of is the guy that opened one of those on the plane next to me today,
Yeah.
and how oppressive that was to everyone around him.
Ooh, that would be fun. You know what? That's gonna be my goal next time I'm on an airplane is bring something on the airplane that other people are like, "Oh man, I wish I was that guy."
Yeah. Or more like, I wish that guy didn't open that because that stinks."
Oh, okay, maybe that. I was thinking more like,
Yeah.
"Dang, I wish I had a Slim Jim." Uh, I one time I brought like a whole bag of Taco Bell into a movie theater, and I felt like I was getting away with something.
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
Yeah, because it was like $12 of Taco Bell, which is a lot of Taco Bell for a single person. But
That's 12 people's worth of Taco Bell.
yeah, but I could have easily spent like $20 for like the same amount of caloric intake for just like a bag of popcorn and
Yeah.
I'm just eating uh like you know grilled
Taco
cheese
after taco after
burritos
taco.
and quesadillas and yeah, that's the move.
Um, real quick, I don't know what this podcast is about, but this is what we're doing. Okay, the next thing I noticed about Europe. Well, let me do a negative. You have to pay to use the bathroom like everywhere.
Whoa, what?
So when you pull over on a rest stop, you have to have like 40 cents of change and you have to like give them 40 cents to get through,
And
or
then the
you can even
toilet
charge
seat
your
like
credit card.
opens up.
And there's like a yeah, there's a turnstile and you have to like pay in the cheaper places, there's like a bucket and it's more like a honor system where you like drop the coin
Hmm.
in the little like collection box and then you use the bathroom, but that's not as nice as what we get to
I
do.
I wonder how they enforce that because I feel like if you're like, "Oh, I don't have any change," or like was there a way to like do it with a credit card or something like that?
On the nice like rest stops and stuff, yes, there was you had to it was like a full turnstile and you had to either like pay cash or credit and then it would like open for you. Excuse me. In the smaller spots where we were like staying by our hotels and stuff, no, it was just honor system. It would say like please pay 50 cents for the bathroom and you would like it would be like one of those like metal boxes where you like do you remember when you would go to the like the concession stand when you were a kid in grade school and you would like pay them the money and they'd have the metal box and you'd give them the cash and they'd put it in the metal box? No?
Yes.
Roughly yes. Yeah, it was like that. It was you just like drop your change in the box.
Yeah. So,
That's what
okay,
it was in the cheaper places.
what's stopping people from just like, I don't know, peeing on the side of the road and saving their money?
Nothing. But what's stopping everyone from doing that here? I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess I kinda do
Have you never
here
done that?
actually, when I have a big trailer. Yeah, when I have a big trailer, I don't we don't stop in a rest stop, we just pull off.
I mean, I've done that. You just open the back door and the front door and you're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably just a way to, like, recoup because in general, the infrastructure over there is way nicer. I will say from driving on that this is not something I wrote down, but driving back from the airport to my apartment, the big thing that stood out was the amount of advertising on the side of the road and just how dirty everything looked relative to where I was.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's because everything's covered in dirt or if that's because the streets aren't cleaned as much or because I noticed that like the cars were dirtier too. And I don't know if that's because we have more dirt and mud here.
I
That's not a good like
No,
reference point
I
because I
think
didn't grow
Europe is
around
more strict about like the upkeep of cars. Like I think they go through inspections to make sure that they're like 100% roadworthy.
there. Yeah, maybe
So like
like the
older
50-foot
cars,
rule in the racing rule books.
the what?
There's like the 50-foot rule in the racing rule books, right? Like you have to have the car looking proper
Oh,
from at least this distance so that you don't just like race some rusty shit box.
yeah, but yeah, I think that, but also just like probably like the stringent like oversight on what vehicles are on the road probably just makes it where having a newer car is probably more common, or just like having one that's like well maintained is also the thing. But then also public transportation and your ability to move around in Europe is so much better than here in the States that actually just even just traveling around with a car is kind of like a it, it's more of like a privilege than like a necessity to like function in society.
That's my impression. Yeah. Maybe people who are either from Europe or go to Europe more often can tune in, chime in for the next time. But that my impression was that the towns were smaller, the commuting was more localized, and the need for a car was just smaller in general. So that's probably the main thing is like there's fewer cars on the road there, and because there's more cars on the road here, more things are dirtier here too. But the advertising thing was big, and just like the like there's not billboards for stuff all the time. There's not like this is coming up or like even the in the smaller towns, there's very little like local advertising. It's just whatever's in your parking lot or on your building, and that's about it. But on the flip side, there are a metric crap ton of street signs everywhere. Like there, it's like the speed limits will change every mile or kilometer, and it's like 60 kilometers. 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers, 60 kilometers, 30 kilometers, because now you're in a town. And it's just like constant like road signs and street and speed limit signs and
Yeah.
traffic signs and everything. So it's not as like abrasive to the eye, but it is like constant street signs still.
You know, the billboard thing, I didn't realize that was just like an American thing. I didn't
Oh yeah,
realize.
if you go even if you drive into Canada, you'll notice when you cross the border into Canada, instantly the roads will go from like constant advertising and billboards and all this to nothing. And it's so peaceful, dude. It's so nice. I hate advertising so much. And like the peace and like the beauty of the view that when there's no billboards and stuff in the way, it's so much nicer.
Yeah, I didn't
I wish they
realize.
would just like do away with all that
Yeah,
here.
how much of an eyesore billboards are. I wonder why they don't have billboards. There must just be some kind of just like, yeah, we don't want that on the side of our road. Like there has to be like an actual decision to not have that space because companies will do that if they had the option to advertise.
Yeah. It could also be I mean, I'm sure it's something to do with laws and zoning or advertising or whatever, but it's probably also because of that, like maybe more localized spaces. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
The other thing is there's basically no trucks, meaning pickup trucks, and there are very few SUVs,
What?
at least where I was.
Are you telling me no one was rolling coal?
Well, a lot of people are rolling coal, but it's like a 1.4-liter diesel Volkswagen.
Okay. That's not what I expected. All right, that's pretty
So
funny.
you hear the clattering, there's still the clatter of diesels around you,
Yeah.
but they're like these little cute little cars.
Yeah.
So what happens is on the roads, instead of being surrounded by these giant vehicles, like the space feels bigger, even though the roads are smaller because all the cars are lower. They're not necessarily there's a lot of they're not necessarily smaller, excuse me. There's a lot of like wagons and like small SUVs and stuff like that still. But in general, like the fact that there were like zero trucks and zero SUVs around you in any given moment, you just like the roads feel bigger and the space around you is like easier to see and all this, which was I actually really enjoyed that. I'm like, why don't we have I was with Renee and Andy Hollis and his wife Anne. And we're like, why don't we have all these wagons? We need all these wagons here.
Yeah.
Screw these SUVs
They
and
just
these
don't
trucks. It's like
sell.
there's wagons everywhere there.
Yeah, they just don't sell here. Like I
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
idiots want trucks. What do you
yeah,
need a truck for?
cuz it can tow your boat.
But the other thing is, okay, so I learned this. The way that Europe, or at least the way that where I was, regulates towing capacities is different. So there were cars towing things all over the place, but it was literally like cars and wagons towing things. So we would get passed by that. We saw some race cars, we saw some show cars, we saw a couple like were obviously drift cars or stance cars, but they were all being towed by a wagon or a very small SUV. And I guess it's because in the US, there are cars that are basically the exact same car, but the towing capacity is rated way, way, way lower in the US so that there's like no dispute. Whereas over there, it could be the exact same car, and instead of the towing capacity being, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, it's 5,000. So you can like actually tow a thing with it legally.
Oh, I didn't know you had legal. So if I towed something over the towing capacity of my vehicle, I could be in trouble from the law? Is that a thing?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that, but like the dealership won't install the tow hitch on it. You know,
Yeah.
they won't allow you to install hitches on that, so maybe they don't exist. Maybe they're harder to get. I'm not sure. I'm talking out of my ass at this point. But the point is, I did not see big trucks towing trailers. I didn't see SUVs towing trailers. I saw little cars and wagons and small SUVs that were the same size as every other car
Oh,
towing trailers.
Daniel makes a good point in the chat. He says, "I think it's an insurance issue if you have an accident and you're over your load rating."
That makes sense.
That probably makes the most amount of sense. Well, there goes my dreams of towing a race car with the Mazda 3.
And then you just got to put it on like Haggerty's trailer insurance. So you're covered that way.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, see. But it won't, I don't know if it'll cover the Mazda, but
No, you do the Mazda separate. And then if something happens, you just detach the trailer, even if you're in the ditch.
yep. And be like,
I
wow,
don't
that's
know.
weird. That trailer ended up here too. I got lucky.
We're onto something. And it's weird that my car was on that trailer. How did that
Yeah,
happen?
wow, that's the chances are outrageous. I should have bought a lottery ticket.
Okay, and then the last thought, this is less to do with like driving in roads and environment, I guess, but there's just like less random national symbolism over there. But there is a bigger there's a more specific like design language to how they have their buildings look, and like there's a lot of the same fonts that are used on the buildings and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's like that much different, but you know how here you just see like there's American flags everywhere, and there's like I don't know what you,
Like
the
nobody
even
in
stuff like
Germany's going
the
like, "Germany, hell yeah."
yeah, or like the thin blue line, or yeah, like the Calvin and Hobbes like guy pissing on something. Like you just don't see that like kind of obnoxious stuff over there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I couldn't read the language. It was just like that doesn't exist. There's not like a ton of even okay, this is a better example. Even when we were in some smaller towns and there were some shops, I actually started to try to look for like maybe a shirt to buy or something to like have a little souvenir. And instead of it being like souvenirs to where you were, it was like stuff you would need because of where you were. So like every shop sold hiking poles and jackets and like hiking boots and gear for being outdoors and stuff like that.
Oh,
But I could not find anything that was like uh Zugspitz Alp, or that's where I was. The
yeah.
Zugspitz Alp, or this like it didn't feel like tourist trap or tourist stuff
Oh, that
because
sounds
that's where I was. It
amazing.
was like stuff that I needed because I was there, you know?
Yeah.
And that to me kind of ties to that whole like there's not just like stuff because of their stuff. It wasn't like I guess the best way to put it, it wasn't as like capitalist crazy. It was like it was a different style of that,
Yeah.
which felt way less in your face. So I really enjoyed that. Like even actually, there were not TVs everywhere. There was not news on everywhere. There was not sports on everywhere. Um, if anything, the TVs were showing like the conditions on the top of the mountains that were nearby, or like the things you could do nearby. That was kind of it. Even in like some of the restaurants we went to and stuff. So it was just like there was just like less stuff hitting you in the face all the time,
Yeah, interesting.
and I really appreciated that.
Hmm.
Just like more peaceful.
I I feel like in order to really understand the country that we live in, I have to go to visit other places.
Dude, amen. When I learned that someone's never left Kansas and they're from Kansas, I'm like, "Oh my god, get the hell out of there. Go see something else. There's nothing wrong with Kansas, but get the hell out. Go see something. Like, go learn about somebody else."
Well, so
Like, Jesus.
me and Christine were having a conversation today. Like, there's just so much to see and to do in America that it's like in terms of like national parks and stuff like that. But like hearing you talk right now, it's like, well, maybe I need to see like another approach to like society, basically, just to have like a understanding of how people live, right? It's kind of like, I've been at some jobs where you're like, okay, this sucks, but you didn't realize how much it sucked until you left and you looked back and you're like, oh my God, like I should have left that place a long time ago. Like I stayed there too long. And,
Sure.
and, uh, you like see the issues and the problems like more clearly, like when you're able to like separate yourself from like the like being there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that would be kind of enlightening and eye opening to just be able to just see how other people are living.
I think it kind of relates to our advice that we give sometimes about like a palate cleanser motorsports event,
Yeah.
because I mean I relate this directly in my experience with motorsports. When I was a part of the Cincinnati autocross region, I learned about that region the same time that I learned about national autocross, and for some reason I just have thought of myself as like a national person the whole time. I've never thought about the region as particularly important. I've never thought about the people that are like living near me as particularly important for my like motorsports experience. Those are the people I see more often, sure, but when I would go to 3 or 4 national events a year in the first couple years that I was doing motorsports, and I would go to my own local events, and I would see how poorly run they were relative to what could happen
Yeah.
because of other regions that had different exposure or different levels of competition, or they had seen, a national event run. Or even actually better example is literally going to Toledo that runs national events and then going back to Cincinnati at the time before they had ever done anything like that. It was like, oh wow, there's such a bigger scale of, or a bigger opportunity for uh not only my own driving, because I was competing against better drivers and more diverse drivers in different classes and different sites and all this, but also the way the events work too. Like I think that's like a one-to-one example, apples to apples example,
Yeah.
like getting out of your comfort zone a little bit to the events you go to and the places you drive and the style of driving you do,
Like you can
to
only
see like what else there is out there.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can only
sorry.
like you can only like take away from that, like being exposed to more things in terms of driving, or if it's like the way people live or work experience or whatever. Literally like the more that we're experiencing, the more you get to take away from those things. And I feel like you had the right amount of time in Europe. What were you gone for, like 10 days?
Uh 15.
50, damn, were you really gone that long? We only
Yeah.
had to
Yep.
record one episode on the European internet,
Yep. Thanks,
which is
Ross.
way better than Aruba. Can we just applaud Europeans and having better internet than Aruba?
But an island in the middle of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's just like you didn't just get like a surface scratch of it. Cause like and the reason why I bring that up is if you just went to one national event and you just like scrape the surface of it, you didn't really like gleam the experience that you could take away to other places. Or
Yeah.
if you just did like basically what I'm saying is you can't just scratch the surface of a million different things. You kind of have to like submerge yourself in a million different things to like actually get takeaways from those experiences. And I think that's probably the hard part of like experiencing a bunch of different things is knowing I mean, this goes into the Dunning Kruger curve, but like, how do you know when you just scratch the surface or when you actually like submerge yourself into the thing? Because it's kind of hard to know like how deep it goes, essentially. Like with this hiking thing, Tom, like Christine's going down like a rabbit hole. Like she just bought a bunch of stuff to go backpacking, and apparently I'm supposed to go with her, but I don't have any equipment, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Um, I'll just maybe just
She's gonna live in her backpack.
yeah, I'll just maybe I'll just hop in her backpack and just be like, all right, where are we going?
Like the babies that ride behind. Your little legs are hanging there. She's
Woo!
behind her, yeah.
I just start like tugging on tree branches and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but like everything goes so deep. Like, you know, like there's the casual hiking with like the water bottle you're holding in your hands, and you get more gear, and you know, now you got the backpack or whatever, and then some of the hikes are so long that you have to stop in the middle of it, sleep in the woods, and then like keep going on the hike. But then like there's a whole nother part where like, okay, yeah, you do that, but also you're like going up a mountain, and oh, then you need specialized gear for like mountain this and that. No, or you could take like a different direction where you're doing like trail running, where like Christine and I have a friend that's doing a 60 kilometer race, and it's like a trail running like thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what is that, like 40 miles or whatever? Um, 60 kilometers.
60 divided by 1.6.
I think it's like
So it would be like
37.
34.
I'm trying to think of pit speed limiters because I think a lot of pit speeds are 60 kilometers an hour. And I think it comes to 37 miles an hour. Oh, somebody do the math. Somebody do the math. We're not doing math on the podcast, but the chat can do math.
31.
31.
Oh,
Okay.
nope, nope, nope. That was
37.28.
I mistyped. 37.
iRacing. Woo! iRacing helping me with kilometers an hour. I just know a lot of pit lanes are 60 kilometers per hour. And when I'm leaving on the pit limiter in iRacing, it will just say 37 on like my speed. So that's why I was saying
Damn.
37. Dang. We got there. Um,
Okay, so real quick sidebar before we get back to the serious thought. Why the hell is this the degrees in Europe, the Celsius is like half the scale, but the kilometers per hour is double the scale. What's that about? Why can't it be like everything's half or everything's double? Why is it
Well,
20 degrees but 120 miles kph?
because
Make up your mind. Do you want to be greater or less? Like, come on.
Tom,
Anyway, back to your thing.
zero, zero is freezing in Celsius, and 100 is boiling.
Yeah, but 100 is 60 kph or miles per hour.
Yeah, that's a different measurement. Oh my God.
Why is
Well,
that though? Oh my
Tom
god, this is why
McGorman,
numbers suck.
welcome back to America.
Yeah,
Because you
yeah,
are
yeah.
sounding
Okay,
so
so
American
okay.
right now.
Well, I was trying to do the conversion the whole time and like, okay, it's 20 degrees Celsius, which
Which is
means it's double
comfortable.
the number plus 30, which is 70 degrees. But then when I'm going 70 miles per hour, it's actually 130. And I don't really like why I had the thought. I don't know. This is a dumb like
Every the
road trip thought.
the way I put like kilometers per hour in my brain is like every 40 is 25. So every 40 kilometers per hour is 25 miles an hour.
Okay, that's a good way to think of it actually, because I struggle with the 1.6 modifier.
Yeah, no, that
'Cause
doesn't work
it
for me. But
me neither.
if we're going 80 kilometers per hour, then I know I'm going 50 miles per hour.
I cut you off from your actual thought. Something to do with
Oh, I was rambling. It
hiking.
honestly, it's just like any hobby can go so deep. Like it just keeps going. And it's hard to not just scratch the surface of all these different me and Christine have been talking about this a lot. We're like, there's entire groups of people that like their thing is some obscure thing that we've never even heard of, and they've like dedicated their life to that thing and they love it and they're completely happy and perfectly content with it, and we don't even know it exists. And I'm sure
Yeah.
racing is like a lot that like basically, how many times have you heard this, Tom? Oh, you race? Is it like NASCAR?
Every time.
Every
If it's
time.
not that, it's how fast do you go.
Yeah.
I've actually been thinking about this because of the F1 movie, which I haven't seen yet, but that movie has been getting really good critiques, and I kind of don't want to see it because I think it's going to suck
I think
because I
it's
can't disassociate myself from what they're trying to show. But to your point, it's like uh it's how deep you can go into a thing because it relates back to I think I've told this story before, but like I was at an IHOP once and the waitress said like, "What are you doing here?" And we said we're racing, and they're like, "Oh, what do you race?" And I was like, "Oh, a little yellow convertible sports car." And my friends laughed at me. It was like Ed and Eric and stuff. They're like, "Why didn't you tell her you race an S2000? Your
she's
little
not gonna know
yellow
what that
sports
is.
car." I don't fucking know. Exactly. Yeah. But no, I think the better part of your point is, or like the most important part of your point is learning to decipher the difference between your expectation of what you think the curve is, or like your confidence on the curve, to what your actual abilities and experience are. Like when are you confident enough to tell somebody that you know that this is what, kind of like what we were doing watching your autocross video again, or in a moment ago, excuse me. Wow, tired brain. Kind of like what we were doing when I was watching your video a moment ago before we recorded. We'll get there. But when are you confident enough to say, like, this is what I think, this setup change is what I want, versus like, yeah, well, we can try it. You know, like where is that relative to the Dunning Kruger curve of experience? And I think that that comes with like making some bold choices sometimes and just like being willing to
Muck it up a little bit.
expose yourself, or like, yeah, operate on naivete,
Yeah.
where like, oh yeah, I'll just like go up a 3,500 foot mountain with like my boots and that's it. Sure. Like that sounds like a horrible idea, but if you don't research it at all and you don't make a bold choice like that sometimes,
I think you're right
or I'm
because
gonna just like break 50 feet later and I'm gonna try, like the 200 has felt confident or easy for 2 laps, I'm gonna just like break at the 150.
if
And then you don't go
everything
off, but you like muck it up. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
if everything is 100% logical and like perfect all the time, then you're limiting the ability to explore uh your own limits, what's possible, what's out there. Like you kind of have to strategically muck it up. That's why anytime going to like a racetrack conversation, anytime I'm like working with somebody who's like very new at racetrack driving, we'll pick out like slow corners and I want them to like go wild in like those spots. I like play around with the limit of the car in these spots because nothing bad can happen. I want you to muck it up in these spots.
Yeah, I do the same. I always identify like the low risk corner. Uh, Road course can be tough sometimes because I mean, there's usually one, but like whatever that low risk corner is, for example, at Mid Ohio, actually, I think turn 4 at the end of the back straight is a low risk corner,
Yeah, agree.
even though it's not a slow corner. You just identify those low risk spaces and try to like push the limit and figure out, like, just go learn something. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. Just go like
Play around.
mess up some.
Honestly,
Yeah, play there.
I think coaching experimentation is one of the trickier things to coach. And I wish I would have asked Ross about it because
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because I've been trying to coach people to experiment and like watch their own lap and because like ideally what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it where they don't need me because that to me that would be the sign of a good coach is like if you're like up hey like if they just stop scheduling sessions because they're like well I'm kind of off on my own path now. Like I have learned the process of like figuring this out on my own. Then like to me that is like that would be like I would give myself a plaque, right? Uh
Yeah.
and I think experimentation is like a huge part of that and the willingness to experiment and then being able to take away the proper things from the experiments. So I've been playing around with that, like explaining it different ways and like Um, yeah, it's just something I'm trying to figure out because I feel like if I can figure that out as a coach to like teach people the process of experimentation, then everyone I work with is going to be able to not need me quicker, essentially.
Well, yeah, and even if they still feel like they want you there for the mental stuff, then like their ability to like try stuff on track or our own ability, let's say, like I think I'm actually one of my strengths is probably experimentation without realizing it, where I would go, I really push the limit, and I always kind of have said my my bell curve of driving is like when I start without trying too hard, I'm kind of like 98% or 95% there. And then when I start trying to go quicker or I start trying to push the limits, I go immediately like 100%, 110. And I'm like over the limit and I'm making mistakes and I'm trying too hard. And then it takes me quite a bit of time to come back to that like sweet spot around 100, 97 to 100% of the limit of the car and what I expect will happen versus what I get. That's it all in that window, but I accidentally land there pretty quickly because of the way that I drive. And then because of the way my mind works, I end up overshooting it really quickly right away. And then I'm like, I'm working on dialing back. So I relate to that kind of driver more so than I relate to the driver that needs to be pushed from pull a number out of the air 70% to just like push it and push it and push it and push it and push it. Because I just like I swing for the fences and I go over the limit on lap 3, and then I like spend the next 10 laps dialing it back.
Did last week on the podcast did I talk about trying to get people to spin themselves?
No,
So,
no, tell me this. What do you mean?
all right, so I want everyone listening that has iRacing
To
or
go spin?
I want you to go spin on corner entry. I want you like literally it can be turn one or actually turn two at Laguna. And I want you to spin on entry. I want you to just go into turn one and have the car loop around on entry. It's actually really tough because in order to do it on purpose, you have to be so in tune with how you place the weight on the nose that you can't overload it and you can't underload it because then you're just sitting there. Right? If you overload it, then you understeer. If you don't do enough, then you're just kind of sitting there. You have to perfectly load the front end in order to spin the car on entry. And as I was explaining this to a couple students, um, is in order you have to be able to do that to actually get the car to pivot in a way that makes like the fastest laps. because you're essentially getting the
Yep.
car to spin for a split second and then you shift the weight around the edge of it and now it's done spinning. But you have to get that like initial like carve of the front where the rear's like pivoting around the car. And if you just kept that going, it would turn into a spin. But you don't keep it going because when we're making a lap, we're not actually trying to spin. But the ability to do that, if you just keep it going, if you keep that front loaded how it was, you would eventually spin. So everyone listening to this, please go out and let me know what happens in the Discord. By the way, we have a Discord, links in the description. Let me know if you could spin on purpose on entry, because I think it's actually a lot tougher than it is. Any student I've brought this up to goes like, yeah, okay, sure. And then they hit the reset button and then they just understeer off the racetrack because they like threw a bunch of wheel into it and a bunch of brake. It's like, yeah, that's you like what? And then I would ask questions. Like, okay, so what happened there, right? And then he'd be like, well, I just, I broke too late or this or that or that. And then it like starts this really awesome conversation about like getting that like front loaded up like in the appropriate amount. So go challenge yourself, everyone, and then let me know how it goes because I'm curious if you're able to spin yourself on corner entry.
And if you don't have iRacing, you can also do it on the off ramp to work.
Yeah. No,
It'll
no,
work.
yeah, no consequences.
Yeah. I agree with this in the sense that like I've always observed that people are really quick to be comfortable with oversteer on throttle. Specifically, obviously rear wheel drive cars, but they tend to be very uncomfortable with oversteer off throttle, which is that type of weight transfer you're talking about, or that weight balance that you're talking about, where where the car is rotating on entry. Whether it's happening on entry or not, it's basically an off throttle rotation. It's happening on the brakes, or it's happening because the weight is forward rather
Hmm.
than back.
Yep.
Um, Joel says, which car do you recommend in iRacing, if any? All of
Uh,
them. All of them.
you should be able to
Pick every
spin.
single
Yeah,
one.
you should be able to spin on entry with any car except the new
Yeah.
Ferrari. That thing is just the most understeery car on entries.
No, dude, I can rotate that thing and spin, and then it's like in a
In the very
death
beginning of the
four wheel
race,
slide. No, anytime towards the end, actually.
towards the
We're
end it
getting into
loosens
the
up.
nerd
Towards
stuff.
the end it loosens up, but like the first like couple laps, like it's just there's not much you can do.
Any of them,
All
I
right.
can get that
You
thing
know
to
what?
like.
After the show today, Tom, you're gonna load it up and you're gonna show everyone that you can spin the Ferrari on entry. And
Let's do it.
I
All
will
right.
be impressed. I will be so impressed. I'll even give you like 2 laps to get like some warm front tires because
Oh, 2 laps.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So
I like that. I like that exercise. And like if you've never felt that, go do it. Like if you can't relate to what we're talking about right now, go. You're the person we're talking to. You should be doing this exercise, trying to figure out
absolutely.
like what does that feel like. It's not to be able to do it on purpose. It's to be able to identify what it feels like so that you can harness it and like make the car carry speed into the corner through that weight balance through the entry.
But
Like
then
that's where speed lies, and that's why everyone says like the best drivers are the best at braking. It's not that they're best at braking; it's best that they're balancing the weight through the entry, so that everything else falls into place.
so and it's not just being able to get that like pivot and rotation and getting like the angle to leave the corner sooner, which means that you spent less time in the corner. It's having the comfortability of you don't have to leave this margin of how you approach the entry of the corner because you know what it feels like to be balancing the car on its nose because you play in that space. So like I think this is a really good exercise because the reason why I started throwing it out is because there was two different clients I was working with where they were both so tentative on entry, and I could tell they had like PTSD of too many like accidental spins on entry. And I was like, well, if we can do that on purpose, then you can purposely not do it as well.
Yep.
Right. So like you might be leaving margin on entry because of this like quote unquote PTSD of like spinning on entry on accident where you're like, oh, what happened? Uh, but I think once you can do it on purpose, you won't accidentally do it. You'll still I'd still do it accidentally every once in a while, but you won't.
Yeah.
But it will happen way less often.
Yep. 100%. That's actually a perfect thing that I'm working for this weekend with. I'm going coaching with Jennifer, the driver that I worked with maybe 2 months ago at VIR that I talked about really meshing well with. We're going to her home track, Summit Point, this weekend, and I don't know that Summit Point has great braking zones like that, but every braking zone is that in a way. So I'm like that's like the goal we've set going in is like manipulating the entry speed in a way that you get to the apex with momentum rather than having to like get to the apex and go to throttle and build the momentum back.
I think you could.
She's in a first gen FRS, so
Yeah,
you know what that's like.
I think you could do it. Um, I mean, obviously not in
It's
real
every
life.
corner.
Yeah, but I think so. Like, I was playing a game with one of my clients last night. Um,
Halo.
no, we weren't playing Halo. I did used to coach in Halo like a long time ago. Um, but not anymore. Guys, don't reach out to me for Halo coaching. Let's talk about racing. I'm washed. I'm washed. Um, uh, where because we were just doing like a lead follow and he was chasing me around. And if he called for me to spin in a corner, I would try to get the nose loaded and spin in the corner. It's like just like a fun little mini game. And he was picking the perfect corners where it was so hard to spin on entry. Like the last corner on Laguna Seca, very, very tough. And then what was the other? Oh, and then turn 6 at Laguna, so like the fast kink. Like I'm just not on the brakes enough to like actually get the car to like spin there. So
Yeah.
he was strategically like fucking with me, which was great. And I like that because he totally knew like that showed me an understanding of like which corners like allow you to get a better rotation than others.
Spin in turn 6, which is the uphill almost flat out turn at Laguna. I
Yep.
would brake earlier than normal and lighter than normal,
Go ahead.
which is counterintuitive because people go ahead. You want me
Go
to do it?
spin. I couldn't do it. I couldn't spin in 6.
No, it's easy. People end up in the left side wall all the time.
Well, because they drop right tires off and then they hook.
Maybe, but I'm saying that those types of corners are the ones where you need to like back out of it earlier to get the weight to do what you need it to do rather than like charge the corner. If you
Yeah.
just charge the corner, it's going to like
Oh
shock the
yeah,
front
yeah,
tires
yeah.
you're going to put.
Exactly. Yep. So
All right, so you go do it.
I I couldn't do it every time he called out. Called out anywhere else I could spin the car, but not there.
Damn. All right, we'll work on it. You'll
Okay.
get there.
Look, I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. We're all a work in progress. So maybe if I was better, I could spin in turn 6, but at my current skill level, I can't spin in turn 6.
I almost spun in turn 6, but instead I caught the car in real life and I hit the inside curb and I bent my brand new wheel.
Oh,
True story.
was
First
that in the
session out,
fit?
first lap out in practice. First time I went there, right off the thing and
And
just
then
bent the wheel.
and then what? You feel like digga driving down the road?
Yeah, I had to go get new tires mounted. Like the tire changed and mounted on an old wheel.
That
It was
sucks.
so annoying.
That sucks.
Um, did okay, we like sidetracked into a good topic about driving, but did you have anything from this weekend of driving in real life
Uh,
to share, talk
you
about?
went
You had a good
over,
weekend.
yeah, you went over my run with me, which thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. And there was some like give and take in the beginning of my run. My runs in
What'd you do? Tell the people what you did first.
the Cleveland National Tour got canceled. So day 1 of the national tour was just a local, like 5 minutes from my house, and that's actually like the first local I've been to in like over a year, which was fun. Um, and it's nice. Just I woke up at like 8 and then didn't even leave my house till like 8:45, and then still had time for 2 walks. It was great. It was
I
amazing.
love that. Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I feel spoiled. I all these people that live near their autocross sites, like, what is it even like? I've never experienced that because Northeast Ohio has always struggled for good lots, so it's never really had this like robust like regional like presence. So it just always makes more sense to like travel to an event like we've talked about a lot in the podcast town where it's like spend the little extra time and go to the events where you're going to get more out of. But on this particular weekend, that local was the only event. It was the only event I could find. So, um, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that.
So you were autocrossing locally in Peter's FRS. No, GR86. And then you were
GR86.
gonna say
Oh,
after we went through the video and now there
yeah,
you go.
gotcha. So there was like a if I would have just set up a little bit more in some beginning elements of the course, then some other elements wouldn't have been as painful. And what I was going to ask you is how would you recognize that like the appropriate amount, because that give and take is really tough to like know what the appropriate amount is for like the maximum time. And that's something that you're super good at. Like, is there anything that you can tell us plebeians that will help us understand what the appropriate amount of give and take is besides like this like internal like butt dyno that just like has you instinctively figure out what's going on?
How dare you talk about my internal butt?
Tom's internal
I'm
butt
sorry.
dyno.
So my first thought with that, this is not a productive answer, but my first thought is if it feels hard, you're trying too hard and you should slow down sooner. That's a really broad statement to say that generally we're talking autocross right now, so autocross links a lot of corners together a lot. And if the last thing feels hard and then you're spending a little bit of time where it feels like this is maybe a straightaway and it's okay, or it's okay to have to catch up at this point. It feels like you're front siding the apexes. Those are indicators to me now that I could have slowed my momentum earlier, um, and been on throttle earlier, but my average speed through the space also ends up higher. That's way it's in the weeds, but it's also way more common in autocross to have to identify. But it does show up in places like the S's at Mid Ohio. It shows up in places like the old S's at Heartland Park, Pit Race, NCM, places where if the last thing feels the most difficult, then you can probably reverse engineer that moment to figure out like a couple of transitions back or a couple of corners back or whatever to say, like I can be gentler with these weight transfers or gentler with these speed adjustments, whatever it is, the way that you think of it
Yeah. You know,
to make those things easier for yourself.
you know, I think so this
Did that
one part
help? Is that an
this
okay way to think about it?
yeah. I think so. Yeah. It's a little different than a racetrack a little bit because
It is, yeah.
I found and this element what was this thing where it's like three corners. It was a right, a left, and then a right again. And on a racetrack, generally there's obviously a give and take depending on like the speed in, the distance between each of the corners. But in generally, when it's like a three corner thing, you sail speed through the first turn, you just sacrifice the second turn, and then you get a good exit out of the last turn. And then that is generally what is fastest. So, like if you think about uh, turn 14 to 16 at Sebring, it's that thing.
Yeah.
Um, if that new track, the bend, turn one all the way to turn three, it's the same thing. You sail speed on the first one, you sacrifice the second corner, you get a good exit on the last corner. And when I say sacrifice, it means like you spend more time in that section than the other two, just because it's just the way that the give and take of time ends up working. Now, one counter to that, I think, is like the right, left, right at the end of most sport, and that's only because the right hander going into the left hander is so long that you do have time to like get it back set up. You wouldn't actually sail that much speed to be able to park on the left hander. So like the give and take is it's not like a hard rule, but it's something that I've started to notice uh rather recently when it's like three corners that the middle one gets sacrificed most of the time. And I haven't figured out like in my own internal algorithm like exactly what the give and take is. On a racetrack is easy because you have like you know you'll have the aim, or in iRacing you'll have like the instantaneous data and you get to see like exactly how the give and
Well,
take works. But on autocross like you don't
let me
necessarily get to
interrupt you
see
real
it.
quick. Let me interrupt you. You're going to say on autocross, but I'll interrupt you real quick to say on a racetrack, you also have the width of the track telling you how you're doing, and on an autocross course, you do not have the width of the ideal space that you're in telling you like I'm in the window or I'm not. So, like for example, using your Mosport thing, like you go through those last three corners at Mosport, and if you end up offline, like you freaking know it because
Yeah.
there's like grass on both sides telling you. Whereas in this moment in autocross, where we were talking about your most recent run, which you can see in the Discord, and if you want to go back and watch DJ's run, you can. Um, that's like the same thing, but it's just like space. It's just there's like the amount of space you're covering relative to the amount of space available is exponentially bigger,
Yeah.
right? You're covering less distance, but you have way more space to use. So there's not a width of space telling you like I need to if make this more efficient. So when I talked about like if the last thing feels harder, there's also a little bit of like a I'm kind of envisioning like a really narrowed version of the space that the course allows through the cones that like now I'm trying to picture that most efficient version through that space rather than like driving the car hard through the space that's available because the space that's available is always way too much. You don't need anywhere near that amount of space. It's always about minimizing that space you use. That make sense?
Yeah, no, that's making sense. I'm taking it
Yeah.
in right now. I'm the student.
All right. All right, that was my only thought. Okay,
Ah,
so go
damn
back
it.
to
I
what
thought
you
I
were
was going to
saying.
keep going.
Well, no, I mean that's like that's the hardest thing about it when you have this expanse, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's autocross or if it's like the uh do you know the Streets of Willow circuit?
Uh
Remember that from like Gran Turismo or something?
no, I drove it in Project Cars. Wait, yeah, Streets of Willow. Is that the one that goes like up the hill and back down the hill and up the hill and
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So the last corner on that track, the California friends of ours will know, or travelers of our traveler friends of ours, like the last corner of that track, or the first corner if you're doing it backwards, is a skid pad. So they literally just like you turn into a like expansive space, and then you just like have to exit at some other little spot.
I don't
Like
remember
it's
that
like
in
an
Project Cars.
yeah. So that's the kind of thing is like if you can picture maybe I mean, maybe that's like a little hack or something. I don't know if this will help somebody, but if you need to picture the space that's available to you as much narrower so that you make the space that you're using width-wise more efficient, to restate that, you were using, in my opinion, more
Too much
width
space.
of the of you were not even space, but literally just width to maximize like the speed of the car through that space without considering like if this track were to be like a racetrack, like the space that you were using, you'd be like off on the left side and off on the right side, like almost like Goodwood Hill Climb, right? Like it's so narrow, you just have to like picture like this tiny little narrow path, and then you drive that path.
Yeah.
Um, I'm getting a little too cerebral. I want to use better words here, but driving the car hard at the expense of using all that width, that translates to distance, which translates to time lost, which translates to
Yeah,
going slower.
in my brain, so you wanted me to go a little slower in like that first right-hander, which would have left a larger radius for the next left-hander, which would have had me at a better angle for the last right-hander, so I could have been on throttle earlier, and then I would have carried that speed all the way to more of a first place. Because I mean, at this event, I did get top packs, but
Yes,
but more
that would have been even more
more top
amazing.
packs, more top packs. I mean, because that's
Yeah.
we're going after our own runs here. It didn't matter who should. I could have been last place, and we should still be analyzing the runs the same. So,
Yep,
um,
agreed.
so my thought was and that's why I was saying like, how do you know like this butt dyno thing? Is how much I gave up to make too much space where I actually have to like come back to the left too much because I drove like so far to the right to like open up this corner. Like, is there any indication or like, because you're saying,
That's the hard part, right?
yeah,
Is I mean,
because
that
I could
kind of
give up
ties
the
back
time,
to
but I don't know if I'm going to get
um,
it back. Like, I could give up the time in that right hander, but I don't know what the proper balance is to like actually get it back because I wouldn't get it back until like I'm leaving the last right hander. So it's a right, left, right until I'm leaving that last right hander. I wouldn't get it back until like my exit speed on that last right hander like passes the quote unquote ghost car, right?
yep. To me, the soft rules, again, like the very soft like limits of this are identifying countersteer and understeer to the point where the car is not being efficient with its grip. So if you're maximizing entry speed, let's say through turn number 1 in a three corner sequence, you're maximizing grip through turn number 1, but then you get to turn number 2 in the three corner sequence and the car understeers, you have no longer gained a benefit from
Mm,
maximizing that speed through the first
yes.
of those three corners, right?
Yeah. No,
If you are
I could totally feel
maximizing,
this. Because
yeah, go
so
ahead.
in the first right-hander, the car was maximized, but in the next left-hander, it was not, and then in the next right-hander, it wasn't either. Just because like the attitude of the car, there wasn't a good way to roll the weight around any kind of efficient way because the car was so bottled up in this like what I thought was a tight segment. But what you're saying is I can keep the car feeling good in all three of those corners because like I was at such an extreme on this left right uh, that it like the car wasn't operating at like maximum efficiency. So like what I should be feeling for is that I keep the car in its like happy zone with how quick the weight can move around the edges of the car. And if I ever get into an element where it's so tight where I can't keep the car's weight happy, then if there's anything I can change before that that would change that, then that will probably be faster.
Yes. So while it may feel like you're going slower at some other point, the overall window, the, the overall space you're covering, whatever the distance you're covering, will have the car in a better position on average, right?
Yep. So what I should be
That's the
recognizing,
way that I look at like kind of reverse engineering. Why does the car? Nope. I lost what I was going to say. Why? How do I figure out? Am I driving this at the limit? Am I driving it over the limit or under the limit? If you find those moments where the car is either in oversteer to create a condition you like, or the car gets to a point and then it understeers. So like I described, 3 minutes ago, you get to a point where like I've maximized this point and this point and this point, but then it understeers. Maybe I can relax the maximizing of those points up to that point, so that that point where the car understeered on the next lap or the next run doesn't do it.
or at least make it easier where my input window doesn't require me to be so precise to have the car in a
Yeah, yeah,
state where it's
exactly.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So
I hope those words made sense because that was a really complex thought, but I think we
dude,
verbalized it okay.
that's the thing about driving though is it's very tough to like put into words because it's the thing that we're feeling and experiencing like in
Yeah.
that moment. Like we're trying to take these feelings that don't necessarily have like human words and trying to convey it into thoughts that can like land in somebody else's brain. So hopefully we didn't lose everyone, but here's my takeaway. Here's my wrap up. Is the the alarm bells, the thing that should be like shooting off in my head saying, "Oh, there's some adjustment that needs to be made here," is if the element and my angles at specific points in the element make it where I can't manage the weight properly where the car is underutilized. If there is a way to back that up, then that should be my first approach to have the car properly utilized through like that whole series of elements. Boom. Is that a good wrap up?
That whole thing will make sense when I listen to this tomorrow when it comes out.
We got like jet
That's one of
lag.
those.
Tom, what time did you
No,
wake
no,
up today to get here right now? Because you woke up in Europe today, right?
I did. I got up at 7 a.m. Central European time, which is 6 hours ahead of now. So currently,
Oh,
it's currently 3 in the morning, but I like whatever. Who cares? I don't have days of the week or hours of the day or whatever. Like
yeah.
it's just when I have to be awake or when I don't. I'm a bad listener, so whatever you said is not because I'm sleep deprived, but like I will listen to that back
Okay.
when I
Can
re-listen to
somebody
this episode,
can
and
somebody
what
in the
you say
chat?
will make sense way more.
Yeah, somebody in the chat let me know if that made sense. And if it didn't, then we're just gonna keep rolling anyways, but I would like to know.
I don't even know how much time we've been going, but what are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, oh, NWR they're calling it a tarmac rally. So it's cumulative time. So it's at the airport.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
It's only at 64 people. Uh oh, I accidentally sold my car, Tom. Or like I was meaning to sell the SSC car, but I sold it like too fast.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just saw on Facebook, you're like, "Oh, that's DJ's car," and Tamara has it.
Yep.
Yep.
Congratulations to both of you.
Yep. I mean, it's a great car. I was actually pretty sad to see it go. I didn't expect because after we're gonna do a little homage to the FRS,
Okay.
and partly Peter Schnorr. In 2021 or it was 2022, but in 2021 the race car died, and that's where all my money and time and effort went into. And I wasn't really autocrossing that much at that point. So my network of like who even was autocrossing at this point wasn't really like that well put together. So like finding co-drives would be tough. And I wasn't sure how I was going to stay relevant and participate in motorsports because I was super broke after trying to keep that Civic on the racetrack all year, and then it died and I didn't have the money to fix it. And I also took a job that was a huge pay cut. And I don't know why I did all that at the same time, but uh and I wasn't sure how I was going to stay relevant in motorsports. And Peter Schnorr reached out and asked if I wanted to drive with him. And I obviously jumped at the opportunity because I really didn't have anything else going on, but I know I wanted to keep doing motorsport stuff because like I decided long ago that this was my thing. Well, it was in that FRS, and me and Peter campaigned that car for a couple of years, and then Peter got a little bit bored of it, and then he sold it to me. And I didn't realize how important that car was to me until I sold it. Where like that car kept me more Peter, but Peter and that car kept me relevant in the motorsports space because we did time trial events and a bunch of different autocrosses. And Peter is like he's such a good car owner. Like the car was just taken care of like so well. And then I was super grateful when he sold it to me. And yeah, that car kind of kept me relevant in a time where I was probably most likely to kind of fall off the face of the earth for a little while. And if there's one thing that I've noticed being in motorsports for over a little over a decade now, is that when people stop and then they come back, they're not as fast as they were before they stopped. I feel like if you stop, uh, like if you just do cold turkey, no driving at all, you never really come back quite as fast as you were. Um, and I'm super grateful that I didn't have to stop essentially. So,
Yep.
uh, but yeah, it was that car, and it got sold. Hey, those wheels didn't come with the car. I asked Peter if he had those. You found a picture of those wheels. I don't know what happened to those wheels. Those are
But the
the
gold ones here?
no, no, no. Those ones came with the car. The OEM like ugly looking wheels.
Oh, yeah, those are
Yeah,
hideous.
yeah. I don't know what happened to those. Maybe Peter burned them. But uh, but yeah. So
No, I know what you mean. That's a little bit how I feel about the S2000 that I bought after I got dropped by Honda. It was like, I don't even know when the next time I'm gonna get to races, so I'm gonna buy this car. And I freaking hated that car all the way up to the point that it hit a wall. But now I still look fondly upon that car with how it kept me going. So
yeah.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yep. So hmm, I uh I I was I I know I wanted to sell it because I want to buy a second gen twin. But I don't know. When it disappeared, I was kind of like, huh. Oh, dude, this guy showed up because the car was getting delivered. So this guy showed up with like a truck to put it on the trailer, and
Yeah.
I don't know. They knew they were picking up an FRS, and it's not like the SSC suspension kit like slams the car. It's like what, an inch lower? Like it's really not that much lower. And he showed up with these ramps that like only an SUV could go on. And he was about to like pull the car in, and I had to stop him. And he didn't speak any English. He was I think, is Ukrainian a language? I'm not sure. But basically I pulled up like a Ukrainian translator on my phone, and we were just using my phone to like talk back and forth, which is like that's so cool
Sure.
that we can just do that. And I went and grabbed my race ramps. By the way, my race ramps are for sale. And uh and helped him get it on the trailer. And I was like, look, it's your go grab wood, something, but like this car will not come off this trailer without damaging it. But they showed up to grab a car and they couldn't even load it on the trailer. They had to use like somebody else's. How is he going to get this thing on the trailer?
Dude, there is a like in general, I don't know how the transport industry works because my experience with transport industry is so bad. It's like they're 2 or 3 days off on their schedule. Do you remember the old Civic that they shipped to Grid Life for us for display that one year? It was like a 74
Yes.
Civic or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
That car showed up on a trailer, enclosed trailer, not strapped down,
What?
but locked into place with 2x4s. So they had like latched 2x4s around each four of the wheels
Oh my God.
with no lift gate, no lift gate on the entire trailer. So we literally had to like back another trailer up to it,
What?
use the lift gate from the other trailer, and then like hack the wood apart to get the wheels off of, to get the wheels to roll, and then push the car onto the other lift gate and then lower the car. I'm
What are
like,
we
this is
doing?
like a famous car from a museum. How did this happen? It
What?
just blows my mind.
That's so crazy. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
while you got Eric Catil like flipping a car into a ditch, and the car's like mostly okay.
right. So coming soon, Eric Coutil Transport Company,
Yeah, even if the dude,
EC.
I was blown away that it was like, all right, and and then so I couldn't really speak to the guy, and he was getting
Okay, yeah.
frustrated, and so he calls up like the dispatcher or whatever, and she spoke English. So I'm talking to her, and she's telling me that I owe them a fee because they didn't get the relevant information. And I was like, listen here, lady. I'm just a dude standing in front of his house. This car isn't even technically mine anymore. I just don't want it to get gacked up because I know the new owners. Like, what do you mean I owe a fee? Like I said also, the only thing you could pick up is probably like a lifted Bronco to be put on this trailer. So owe a fee for didn't have enough information. You can't put anything on this trailer, so you can F right off. Like that's basically what I told her on the phone. And then they stopped.
He
And
said,
as
listen,
far as I
Linda.
know, Tamara didn't have to pay a quote unquote fee. So these transport companies are freaking wild, Tom. Like,
My brother had a job straight out of college at one of these transport logistic companies. The nightmares that he tells about, oh my god. So
dude,
yeah, I like it's it again. I don't know how the transport industry works. I don't know how the trucking industry works. It seems like it's just it seems like it's hanging on a thread like a fucking pinky
dude,
nail. Sorry, freaking pinky nail every second of every day. I don't know.
this experience just made it. If I ever buy a car and it has to get transported to me, I'm just gonna be like crossing my fingers the whole time that it just shows up with no damage.
Get a friend to help you. Do not hire a do not hire a
You never
professional.
know.
Because the other thing is they also try to organize their entire trailer around the convenience of delivery. So that's why they can end up like 2 or 3 days off because they're going to be like, well, I'm going to go pick this car up and pick this car up, and then I'm going to go drop this one off. But then this car has to be here on this trailer so that I can easily offload it versus this spot on the trailer. So I'm going to delay it by another day, and then they end up 3 days late with your stuff. And you're like, I needed it 3 days ago. What? No, I'm not going to be there. I had one trucker call me at like 10 p.m. It's like, hey, I'm here to drop it off. Like, no, you're not. No, you could drop it off tomorrow. I'm in bed. What are you talking
Yeah,
about? You're here to drop it
get
off.
a hotel,
I
have a
don't know
nice
how it
breakfast.
works.
Yeah.
Huh?
I was to the truck driver. You'd say, "Get a hotel, like have a nice breakfast. Like what? I'll see you tomorrow."
Right. Exactly. And
Yeah.
also, I'm not paying for that. No, like, what are we doing? It was wild. All right. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad you sold that car. I commiserate with the idea of what do you call that? The attachment to that car. It's like, oh yeah.
So
But hopefully you get to co-drive it with Tamara and Andrew someday.
maybe, yeah, that would be fun. So I was planning on driving it for this this cumulative autocross thing, but now all of a sudden I didn't have a car.
Oh,
So I was kind of scrambling. I don't know how many people saw my post on NWR where I posted like the Bernie Sanders meme. I am once again asking for a co-drive.
yep.
Yeah. But luckily I am managing I found two different cars to drive, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. Cuz on Sunday it's just a regular NWR event. So I'll be driving a C Street Miata on Sunday. It's been a while since I drove one of those.
Ooh.
So
Julian's?
no, oh crap, I'm on the spot. Sorry, I talked to so many people.
Just
Uh,
make up a name. Make up a name. Make up a
no,
name.
I'm not gonna make up a name because that wasn't his name. Um, oh, I forget what
Doesn't
we were
matter.
messaging.
I won't know who it is either, probably.
It's Joel Higginbotham.
Oh, Joel. All right,
Yes.
tell him hi.
So so he has like a full prep C Street, much like mine was. It's like has all the same parts on conies, like bump stops, all that stuff. So just like mine was back in the day. So that will be fun. And then I'm driving with Dan Shea in his SST Cayman, which will be super fun.
Cool. And then this weekend, I'm coaching Jennifer at Summit Point Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the weekend after that, I'm commentating Grid Life at Road America
Ooh, that would be
Friday,
fun.
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, me and Ito. Look at us go. Commentary
Whoa!
team.
Oh, dude, I'm jealous. Wait, when is that? Can I go?
Yeah, sure. Why not? It's next weekend. It's like the 25th through the 27th, I think. If you're a Grid Life competitor and you want us to know something about you, which means, AKA, if you can send us anything, I will talk about you. Send it here on the podcast Discord or something.
That's like the cheat code, by the way. If you're at an event with a commentator, you just send them anything. Anytime they have dead air, they're like, "Oh shit, where was that cheat? Where was that cheat sheet?" Okay,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Tom McGorman.
Literally, Ryan Christoph just said Lizard Brain's privilege. I will 100% use. Yeah,
Yeah.
give us you have Lizard Brain's privilege if you're a Grid Life competitor and you're listening to this. Send me the things
Nice.
about you. I'll talk about you.
Hell yeah.
And then, so yeah, that'll be fun. I'm going back into motorsports mode. Here we go.
Yeah, that should be fun. I have the Chicago National Tour that weekend. There's like 17 cars in D Street, so
Cool.
I keep trying to talk Peter to go into CST, but D Street's kind of lit with like how big the classes are. So
Yeah, I mean the advantage is the cars are more fun to drive.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for.
If you're not an autocrosser and you made it to this point, also congratulations. But it's just like suspension mods and like not a stock car.
D Street is twins with like a sway bar, and then you can change shocks. And then CST is like
Like what you would actually want to do.
yeah, like the coilovers, camber plates. So you have like a proper amount of camber. You
Yeah,
have like bigger wheels and tires, and like power mods, like header and tune and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think CST would be really fun, but we'll see. All right, Tom. That's probably an episode. You want to call it? You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. When are you watching that F1 movie so we can talk about
I
it?
missed doing this with you. I was happy to get to catch up with you. What did you say?
Oh, I missed you as well, Tom. I missed just hanging out and doing iRacing with you on the weeknights. But when are you gonna watch that F1 movie so we can talk about it? Because I got things to say.
Yeah, when it's like free. I don't know. I'm not gonna pay to watch that.
You could torrent it. Not.
All
You
right,
could
well, send me a link.
allegedly.
I'll watch it.
You could allegedly torrent it.
I mean, that's how we watch Gran Turismo. I'm like, if you send me a link, I'll watch it.
Okay.
I think I know what happened. Pretty sure we could just. I think I could like carry my own without watching it.
No. All right. Somebody buy a T-shirt so Tom has money to go watch it. All right. Tom, you want to carry us out?
Yeah, I actually looked this up this week. So, first of all, bippity boppity, and also buonasera in adoro i tuoi capelli, spero i tu pensa.
Next time.